Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unscripted Reviews. I'm your host Freebie Wits, and today we'll be taking a look at Monster Train. So Monster Train is a card game roguelite deck builder where you make a deck, go through a dungeon, or in this case, hell, fight monsters, enemies, and bosses, building up your deck and modifying it along the way. Now, a lot of comparisons have been made from about this game and Slay the Spire, and I believe that it's very intentional. Back when it was first released quite some time ago, if you own Slay the Spire on Steam, you also got a discount on Monster Train as well. The reason why I'm reviewing this now instead of when it was first released is because, number one, this YouTube channel didn't exist back then, and number two, about a week ago or so, it got released with its new Friends and Foes updates, which gives you more choices in the form of new champions, new cards, I believe, new trinkets, and new enemies to fight. So, despite its inspiration from Slay the Spire, it's a very, very different beast. Not just because you're not... Okay, so I know I'm jumping around a lot, so forgive me for that. In Slay the Spire, you play as an individual going up a tower, building up your deck, and this deck is implied to be your skill set, your ability to hit things and such like that. In Monster Train, you're not really playing any named individual per se. It's not very clear, it's kind of abstract. You could argue that you're playing your champion, but it's called the champion, not the player character. It could just be your right-hand man for all intents and purposes, or right-hand woman, or right-hand whatever the hell the Umbra stuff is. So, another thing is that, you summon monsters, you summon creatures, each with their own individual hit points, their stats, stuff like that. Something that Slay the Spire doesn't have. You play as individuals in that. You don't play an army, or a squad, or whatever name you want to give this team of Hellspawn minions. So besides the obvious differences between Slay the Spire and Monster Train, what other differences are there? Well, in my opinion, mechanically speaking, it's choices, or specifically, the beginning choices. In the Slay the Spire, you start with the choice of 4 different characters to play as, and thus which different kind of cards you can get. Then, assuming you've met the proper conditions, you can choose 1 of 4 different options offered to you by the starting monster character. I wouldn't even call him a monster. I mean, I guess he looks like a monster. But anyways, in Slay the Spire, you can then choose 1 of 4 different options to give yourself a little boost. In Monster Train, you instead get to choose from 1 of 5 different deck types. And then from there, choose 1 of the remaining 4 as your secondary deck type, and this will give you access to different card combinations. If you mix and match the 10 different card deck types, the 5 different card deck types I should say, then the combinations you get increase even more. And the fact that they add the Friends and Foes update, which includes extra champions and cards, well, that increases how you can shape your deck from the beginning. Now granted, and you want to probably change a lot of those cards later on, but to begin with, you get a lot of choice. So you can choose to have a lot of cards that do little bits of damage, you can have lots of healing cards, you can have minions, you can have sacrificial morsels, so on and so forth. There's a lot of variety here in how you begin the run, assuming you unlock them. And before you even start the run, when you get on the train with your champion, you can then choose to upgrade them, you can get extra trinkets, which will then determine how you want to build your deck next. If you get like a trinket that rewards you for gorging on things, then you generally speaking want to get cards that gorge a lot. If you get a trinket that gives you rage, that's less relevant depending on what you're building, because rage is pretty universally good no matter what. Rage, for those of you who don't know, just gives your cards extra damage, and the rage slowly over time fades away. So, mechanically speaking, how do I feel about Monster Train? It's sort of a tower defense style game in my opinion, because the enemy monsters they keep moving up if you don't kill them. They don't just stick around to fight your existing stuff. They'll attack once, then go up a level. Attack once if there's anything on that level, go up, until they reach your pyre. Your pyre is what you want to protect. It's that little red thing on top of the train. It can fight back by exploding or overheating, I assume. I'm not sure mechanically how it works, but it kills everything on the top floor. And if your pyre dies, then you lose the game. If you lose your monsters, don't worry, you can get them in the next round. Note, when I say next round, I mean when the next battle begins, not the next turn. If you summon a monster and it doesn't have certain special abilities and it dies, you won't be able to summon them again, meaning you can get to the point where your entire deck has no more monsters in it. You can, however, keep playing spells over and over again unless they have the consume trait on them. If you already play Slay the Spire, I would very much recommend this game to you. Its concept is very similar in that you build a deck and make it stronger and stronger, and you can get some pretty crazy combos. Certain monsters synergize better with others, and if you can find those synergies, it becomes very satisfying to watch. Keyword here being watch. When you hit a certain type of monster, specifically the bosses, instead of attacking once and then going up a level before finally reaching your pyre, they will stay on a level and keep fighting until everyone is dead, either themselves or the enemy. And once they clear out a floor, they'll freeze it and go up, meaning you have no more access to the floor below until, well, the next train battle. In these specific cases, if you have a monster with lots and lots and lots of health that you've buffed up to Kingdom Come, with very little comparative damage, well, you'll be seeing a lot of back and forth as your monster attacks theirs and the boss attacks back, and this can go on for rounds and rounds and rounds. Luckily, you can sort of fast forward it by holding down the right click button, which I hope you'll see in the video if I've edited this right. So why play this over Slay the Spire, or why play this at all if you already have Slay the Spire? And the answer is different cards, different mechanics. You got monsters instead of just single attacks. And you might be asking, well, if it's got all these extra things over Slay the Spire, why won't I just play Slay the Spire? And the answer is Slay the Spire has its own thing going. It's more tight, it's more balanced, easier to do in that regard. They're both good games in their own right, and I love them as deck builders. The fact that you can have a bunch of different pools of cards to pull from in Monster Train makes the replayability amazing. You might play as the Hellborn one day and decide to play as the Candle Folks the next. And even then, each individual decks, the Hellborns have so many different archetypes. They have so many different builds. The champions, when they're upgraded, can pick from one of three different types. The Hellborn Queen can summon imps, or you can make her get stronger every time something's summoned, or you can have her sacrifice her imps to throw at people. The possibilities aren't quite endless, but they feel like it sometimes. If you enjoy Slay the Spire, then I fully recommend Monster Train. If you haven't gotten already, now's the perfect time to get into it, ever since the Friends and Foes update. Anyways, thank you for watching. My name is FreebieWits. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a nice day.